Hey everyone, welcome to Support Local Film Colorado. This is Julia. I am here with my one and only business partner, Hunter F. Burns.
Hello. And Julia, I hear you have some news you were not excited to tell us this morning.
You just love making me uncomfortable, but you know what? I get to do that at the end of every episode, so it's like, at least we make up for it.
Yeah, it's the tit for tat.
Exactly. So last night I was with my roommate and they were watching a very unique show on Netflix.
Oh,
it's
really?
on Netflix, yes.
I didn't know. What's the show called? What was it? Was it the new season of Stranger Things, Julia?
I honestly wish it was.
You wish everything was the new season of Stranger Things.
I love Stranger Things. No, this isn't Stranger Things, unfortunately. This is Sex Rooms.
Well, that is strange.
Very strange, but you know what? It is blowing up. First of all, if you haven't already seen some memes and some stuff going on social media from Sex Room, it is a show on Netflix and it's produced here in Denver. So what do you think of that? We got a reality TV show from Denver here on Netflix.
Well, cheer for us. I always love it when we get some good attention, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity, even if we need to put our whips and chains away to put.
So we're going to try not to push my limits here, but we are going to mention High Noon Entertainment being the producers of this show based here in Denver. It is a very unique series about an interior designer who was asked to make a sex room and then made a whole career out of it. I personally didn't think you can make a career out of this, but...
Well, you know what they say, sex sells. So who is this woman?
So Melanie Rose is the designer of the show. Scott Freely, the producer, is taking his crew and they're following her around, figuring out her process, and also introducing you to the people who would pay someone to make a sex room.
Well, Julia, that's just the high quality entertainment you get from someone who also makes HGTV shows. Because Scott Freely's from High Noon Entertainment, one of the best companies in Denver. Mm-hmm. That's also national, and they produce all sorts of fun things. So if anyone from High Noon or Melanie Rose wants to come on the show and they want to talk to us about this room, making it maybe an HGTV room, maybe a Netflix sex room, come on the show. We'll figure it out. This podcast studio is open for your interpretation.
The door is always open.
Until it's locked.
Well, anyways, we're going to move on now to a very good friend of ours. I'm not even going to try to make a good transition here, but...
No, let's make a hard stop. And then say... completely different, unrelated, nothing but what this guest does has anything in relation with our news section. Now go.
Today we have a really good friend of ours. We've worked with her on set, and Hunter actually went to high school with her. Everyone give a warm welcome to Alyssa.
I said hello. At least both things we're talking about today are unscripted entertainment, though of two very different varieties.
That is what we do. We are just unscripted.
I'm sure the guests will figure that out.
Easy enough. Well, anyways, Alyssa, we want to talk to you a little bit about yourself and where you come from and how you and Hunter know each other so well.
Okay, so I grew up in Elizabeth, Colorado, and so didn't Hunter. And we went to the same schooling system and even to the same film program at Elizabeth High School. And now I go to Ithaca College in upstate New York and study basically the same thing. My major specifically is really long, and it's documentary studies and production. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds rather pristine and posh from your very hard Scrabble upbringing in a little town by the prairie.
I was thinking Elizabeth is such a small town, and it has to be like a really small high school. I never really hear of film programs being in small schools like that.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. I mean, it was really lucky to have it happen. And to be honest, it's Hunter's fault because he really wanted a film club. It started as a film club. And he bothered one of our math teachers, Mr. Dan Marcus, who I absolutely adore. And he had a history of teaching film. And then it moved from being a film club to having a full curriculum. And I think they now offer 2 different classes, one in kind of broadcast journalism and the other in strictly filmmaking. We have a film festival every year for all of the films that the film students make, and a weekly, we did weekly when I was there. It might have moved back to bi-weekly broadcast every week, talking about news, talking about things going on in the school. And for the small, like how small the school and how small the town is, it has absolutely grown, and it was like my baby in high school. I was so excited. Like it was everything that I worked on. And so it's also been really, really helpful going out into actually going into the film industry.
Well, I think it's a good experience that you guys had. I unfortunately never got to take the classes because I had to go and actually go to college. Which, if I don't know, I would have held myself back to have all the fun you guys did. But it feels really good to see. I don't know. I wouldn't say that I walked. I'd say that I crawled so that you guys could really take off and run. And that's what I think is really interesting about you, Alyssa, is that you actually have like the podcast, broadcast, making a TV show already ingrained in you, which is great because at Ithaca College you do so many different projects. You're on a gay mermaid TV show. you produce documentaries. You do all sorts of things. So now that you've taken flight and you're halfway across the country, what are you excited about doing right now?
Okay, right now, we are in the middle of, me and a production team from one of my classes are doing the festival run of a documentary that we spent this prior semester making. It's called Emerging, A Storyteller's Journey, and it was really, really fun to make. And I'd made documentaries before, but I think this was, the most, structured way of doing it, and it was a lot of pre-production, a lot of planning, and I think the product shows that. And also every person that we worked with was just amazing to have on set.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of it. And the lady that you're focusing the documentary on, how did you meet her? Because she is like awesome.
She is awesome. Her name is Regina Carpenter. We call her Reggie. And one of my co-producers, Reed Freeman, he grew up in Tennessee, in a small town in Tennessee, and there is I think it's like the Worldwide Storytellers convention there that happens every so often, and he was familiar with the storytelling industry, so it was really his I want to find a storyteller. And I think a couple other of us were excited to focus on one person and one person's life. Even though she does talk about so many large topics, it was nice to just have one person. And she was a communication studies professor at our school. That program no longer exists, but she worked at our school. She actually was an alum from our college, but then she has been around the world and on TED Talks just telling stories, and that is what she does. She really tells stories.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
It is a really amazing thing that you're doing. You get to really dive into a person who's lived a lot of life. So I always think that's really amazing when I get to interview someone who's older, maybe who's had a different background than the typical person, or even, the traditional career path, because I always find that we get much different answers. Like one of my favorite interviews that I've ever had is with someone who is in Aurora, and we'll be interviewing soon. Her name's Dr. Barbara Shannon Bannister.
Oh, I can't wait for
Yeah, you
her.
should be excited. So,
I am.
So we'll tell our audience more about that later, but tell us what you found about this person that really just made her shine to you.
I mean, Julia, in the opening minute, she's like, she's so sweet. She's so kind. We went left set every day. We are so lucky, because it wasn't the first storyteller that we'd followed up on, but she is just this light, and she obviously have that persona to be able to tell stories for a living, but she is the kindest, just sweetest person. And I think some of the questions that we asked her, she completely opened up into everything that she'd been through. She talks in the documentary about dealing with mental health, mental illness, suicide, grief, and she uses her platform now primarily to help others with grief and with mental illness and addiction. So it was so amazing to speak with her, because every downfall that she had, the person that she was today was just this vibrant, beautiful, resolution of whatever she went through.
That's awesome. Well, and we actually get to show everyone a little bit of a clip just to give them a glimmer of the light that this lady has. Are we ready? Do you want to do that real quick? Let's do that.
Yeah. Could
Yeah?
we please? Could we please?
Could we please? Could
Sure.
we? Could we? It's like we're
Yes.
beg everyone. Can we show everyone?
Let us see it.
Okay. Well, that is going to play now.
In my dream, I stood on Mercer's dilapidated wooden dock before the mighty St. Lawrence River in my two-piece cobalt blue spandex bathing suit. The sky above me was gray and swirling, the water below me green and frothy. The waves seemed to have little teeth. Did I care? I stood there doing my best Olympic diver imitation.
You know, I really think that, Alyssa, you've shown a great example as to why documentarians have the world's best life. Because at the end of a filming day, you're stressed, you're sweaty, you're upset. You have not experienced air conditioning in more than 12 hours. But if you're a documentarian, you get to get introduced into people's homes, their lives. You get to see all sorts of different things, and sometimes it's very stressful. Like, you know, if you're on Vice, I don't imagine that's a very fun job. But you know, if you get to go around and interview someone like this, I feel like they're gonna fill up your cup. So how does that feel to you?
She on multiple occasions offered us tea and coffee, so I think that's really ironic. Like every time we came over, it was like, please sit down. Are you hungry? Are you thirsty? And there's a certain amount of objectivity in documentarian work. So you're not supposed to, you know, take from, or I guess like receive from whoever you're working with. So, you know, we were always like, no, it's okay. But this was specific to this documentary where we did get to go into someone's house and really learn about her. And then what was great was that because she was a storyteller, we kind of allowed her to design the story herself. So everything that she wanted to say or that she did say in the interview, we sat down. We're like, okay, how can we further illustrate this? What do we want to know more about? And I think that's the hard part about documentary work, is that unlike a fiction film set where you're like, okay, I have this shot and this script. Okay, this is the script. Like it has the start and the end. Documentary work almost doesn't have a start and the end, because it's always how can we get more of the story? How much deeper can we get? What experts can we get? And that I think is the stressful part of documentary, but I think it's also really fun because you are constantly finding the story. So it's like creating a script out of things that, you know, God created, right? They're already in the world, and it's very fun.
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely like journalism and film. And like as a journalist, you find your resources and you have to build the credibility, and you have to kind of enhance the story outside of the story itself. And that I find really intriguing when people do it really well. So I think the cool thing about her, though, when I noticed what I watched, is she has so much of that in her story already. And that is a great find. So kudos to you for finding such an amazing person to focus on, for sure.
And one last question regarding this person. What do you think is going to be the true story when it does come out? What is what is the essence of this person that you're going to tell through this story?
Originally, going in to filming and to the pre-production, we thought we were finding a story about how to tell stories. Like we were saying, okay, let's tell a story about storytelling and what that art is like. And really, we found a story about a storyteller and this beautiful art that she has and how she uses it to help others with mental illness, and how it can be transformative and amazing work with grief and addiction, which is great to work with.
You know, Alyssa, I think one of the great things about you is if you're doing something, we can see how much passion you have in it. It's very plain to see. And that's why today we were going to ask you about your roots, and we were going to have a game called A Rule Surprise. And because that's Elizabeth, Colorado's slogan is it's a rule surprise, right? But because of how much you love this documentary and how much you've made us love this documentary, we actually switched the game on you. We pulled up your rug. The game I'm going to play with you is called Documentary now.
Game
No.
time.
And to think I was studying all this like film stuff, so I was like, I know everything. No.
See, she prepared.
You see, I
like
had a
that.
feeling you would have done that. So knowing you, we anticipated this, and because the brashness of this game is essential, we needed to switch it up on you.
Okay.
But also you inspired us. So think yourself as a trendsetter. You're still in the zeitgeist. Documentary now. If you haven't seen it, it's Bill Hader, Fred Armisen, sometimes Seth Meyers, and they're all making spoofs of these crazy documentaries that you would have seen, and then they're taking it and they're doing. So my favorite episode is is a spoof of the documentary Hero Dreams of Sushi, and the episode is called Juan Likes Chicken and Rice.
Okay.
And if you watch it, it's honestly the perfect 22 minutes of humor, family drama. You could laugh. I literally cried, and it's got a scene in it where a guy loads a potato shooter with a chicken breast and shoots it against a wall.
Okay.
It's honestly perfect. So I think this is a great game for you. Anyway, documentary now. Question 1. The sketch artist in The Eye Doesn't Lie was the actual artist from the court case that gave the original documentary The Thin Blue Line was centered around. This was a total coincidence because why? Was it A, they just hired the first sketch artist they could find on Fiverr.com? B, they just hired a random police sketch artist? C, they just hired their friend Greg? Or D, they hired their friend Laura Dern?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know why, but I feel like it's just that they took a random police sketch artist.
And you'd be correct. That's
Okay.
actually true. They picked a random police
Okay.
sketch artist
Oh,
Yeah.
and on accident
Yeah.
picked the right one. So
Okay.
that's one of the great things about documentary now. The truth is closer than it seems. So Alyssa, as always, you're getting an A right now. However,
Okay.
you must get 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 on this quiz,
Okay.
or we kick you off, and then we talk about artists all day, and we talk to artists all the time. So we'll do maybe okay, but it might get boring for our audience. So we need you to succeed. This is important. Filming is stressful, right? Bill Hader's life is hectic. So is Fred Armisen and Seth Meyers. They got lots of fun things to do, like run late night shows and film HBO TV shows and whatever Fred Armisen does on the weekends.
Yeah.
But that means that you have to make a documentary now in a certain period of time. So how long is each season filmed during the filming period for a documentary now? Is it A, 2 days? Is it B, 10 weeks? Is it C, 4 to 6 weeks? Or is it D, 22 weeks?
Feel like it's 4 to 6 weeks.
You'd be absolutely correct.
Okay.
Alyssa, you are doing so well.
You're killing
That's like a pretty
it.
average like TV show filming, even for something that's, well, it's not unscripted if they're making a spoof, but
Yeah, it's very well written, but you
Yeah.
have some of the greatest comedic actors. So I'm guessing there's some improv in there, but in tight time.
yeah.
So in tight time, we have to keep moving.
Yes, we do.
Okay, one of my favorite episodes of documentary now is the episode filmed in Iceland, where for some reason it's a documentary about this small town who, as a tourism trap, has an Al Capone festival. Al Capone being the gangster who is in Chicago, shoots people, My Bloody Town, Valentine Massacre.
Yeah.
This town in Iceland has a Al Capone lookalike contest, and that's what the documentary centers on. It's honestly brilliant.
Okay.
So, where was this actually filmed? Was it A, in Colombia because they were filming the One Likes Rice and Chicken episode and had to find a town in Colombia that looked like Iceland? Is it B, in Portland because Portland looks like everywhere? Is it C, in Iceland because you can't fake Iceland? Or is it D, at Laura Dern's house because underneath her house she just dug an Icelandic village?
Okay. I've been to Iceland, so that's so fun.
Really?
Yeah, I have.
You're so lucky.
Then you would love that
Awesome.
documentary.
Yeah, you should watch
Probably,
this documentary.
honestly. But I feel like now I'm like, that was such an elaborate story about Colombia. I feel like, as I said, Portland. I feel like it's Portland.
It's actually, you can't fake Iceland.
can't fake
You
Iceland.
can't fake Iceland. That was a trick question.
Okay.
But don't worry, Alyssa, you got 2 out of 3, so we're going to keep you on the show. You won't even have to walk out that door and put on a
Okay.
fake mustache and reintroduce yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, if you're just joining us, we have Alyssa Beebe. She is part of our own little Elizabeth family mafia. And when we get back, we'll talk more about all of her fun adventures in New York.
It's getting hot in here.
Let's
so
keep
take
on all of our clothes.
your clothes.
Denver Community Media's rules are very strict, and we're going to adhere to them.
That is true. Yeah, it's not a strip club, unfortunately.
But there is a show about strippers that's filmed here, which is only one of the things we like about our studio.
And you know what? They are on public access, I think.
They are. And you know what? So are we now. That's right. Hashtag support local film right there. It's now on public access TV.
That is correct. I told all my family and they all think I'm a celebrity now.
My dad thinks that I'm a failure, but you can watch our show, which has successful people on it at this time and this time and this time.
So check us out.
On public access, which is this channel.
You can get it on Roku, or you can just have cable.
Yeah.
You know, like what used to be very trendy.
Now you can watch it on Roku.
And now you can watch it on Roku.
So if you are one of our audience members who is not 82, we do love you, Grandma. Please watch us on Roku on this channel.
We love you guys.
Goodbye now.
Goodbye.
Welcome back to the show. Now, Alyssa, earlier I mentioned you're part of a creative team that makes a gay mermaid show in Ithaca, New York. But that's only one of the fun things you're doing. So what else is going on? What have you been doing since you left our good old rural surprise?
Yeah, so much. Literally, college is like constant. We're doing something and this is new and there's like, it's so fun. Like I just get to do as many things as I want and it's great. And I'm tired. But in the upcoming semester, I'll be assistant producing a show through Ithaca College Television called Homeschooled. It's about two boys who are homeschooled their entire lives and now they're going into college and it's a sitcom and they're just kind of getting introduced to all of the college things and it's very funny and the guys that are the producing team that I'm working with are very funny, so I think it'll be fun to work on and fun to watch.
That sounds like a lot of fun. And you know, from someone who grew up with a lot of people who are homeschooled, and you know, you saw them in Elizabeth, they seem to they come from a separate universe. Is that the kind of version we're going for? Or like two aliens landing on a college campus in New York?
Yeah, I think it's like they're quite like trying to fit in. Like there's all of these like, oh, we have to get this group, or these are the cool kids and we have to kind of get in with all these groups, and they try over and over again. And I think the theme of the show is really like being yourself and being true to who you are, and so it's very sweet. So it's all these like shenanigans and rambunctiousness to be have a good little moral at the end.
Well, what a perfect show for you to produce, Alyssa, because, you know, you're so wholly authentic and you're always who you are. So,
Well, thank you.
well, that's one of the reasons I like talking to you. Well, really, so we're just so excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've gotten to know you really well in the last 22 minutes, but Julia wants to know you just a tiny bit more.
Just a little bit more. Okay, you're so sweet and I love that. But I think I want to see what kind of like, what bothers you, you know, like if there's something that pisses you off. And I want to do it in a way where we're playing two truths and one lie. Okay. So things that piss you off. Okay. And think of like the thing that pisses you off the most as your truth. And then the two things that are a lie that we might think actually piss you off.
Well, we already know what the truth is because she hates working with us.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine how much we've made her suffer over one weekend in 105 blistering heat. It's a shock she came on the show.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, I live in New York. It's basically Canada. So the heat is a blessing. Okay. Like, is it like a pet peeve or something that like really genuinely irks me?
I mean, there's some pet peeves that can genuinely irk someone.
How about this? I know your brother Seth very well. Something he does that just drives your blood to boil out of your ears.
Okay. Two truths and a lie. Okay. In no particular order. I get really annoyed when people make movie references. I don't know. I get really annoyed when people like say something in front of someone's face and then they say the opposite, like somewhere else. And then I get really annoyed when people tell me exactly how to dress to an event.
Ooh.
Wow, I feel like all of those could easily. Well, see, the first one, it can't be the first one because Hunter, you make too many movie references that nobody knows, and she
Hey, I'm
still wants to be
walking
around
here.
you. She wouldn't be on the show if that were the case, so I'm gonna say that's a lie.
So hold on, Julia. Are you talking to me?
Oh my god.
Are you talking to me? I'm walking here.
So I don't think it's the first one. The last two could easily be true, though.
I think the worst thing in the world is gossip.
Yeah,
So that's
I agree.
even though we love to gossip, it's a bad thing.
we spill the tea,
However, I would.
but we don't slander.
That's true. We never slander. We love everyone.
We love everyone.
But I think the biggest faux pas one can do is for any event to tell someone what to wear down to the very outfit. So that would be my guess because Alyssa, you have a lovely wardrobe and I completely trust you. So having someone state that you are not trustworthy with your own aesthetics would be just simply revile.
Okay, so I want to say it's the gossip, because, I mean, I don't know, because I can see both of those being true, but like gossip can just destroy people, you know?
Most
and
certainly.
you seem like the kind of person who's super against things that destroy people. So
Yeah, you're a builder, not a taker.
exactly. So there's our guesses.
Yeah. The truth is definitely I cannot stand gossip. I can't stand when people like just tear down people for the sake of tearing them down. I think that's awful.
Certainly.
I will say, so the last one does come from, I am very stressed out all the time and I hate being like dressed wrong. So people tell me at least like a dress code. I'm like, yes.
I see.
Like I get annoyed when my friends are like, oh, we're going to go in 2 hours. And I'm like, but what am I going to wear?
That's, I agree, because there's times where it's like, wait, is this a fancy event? Or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we went to a fashion premiere one time, and
I want to go to a fashion premiere.
Well, come back to Denver. It's popping here. We got
It
all
is.
sorts of stuff.
there's so
my
much fashion, so
Yes.
much. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many local designers, and there's people from all over and all different kinds of different things. It's
Very
you'll
cool.
you
You'll
should
love
come
I
down.
love fashion.
Yeah. So maybe you can have them tell you what to wear.
Yeah. So, and then the first one, I love when people talk about movies. I mean, yeah, I don't like when people like are like haughty about it and they're like, I know this movie and you don't. But like, I love when people talk about TV and movies. So, yeah.
That's fair. Okay. Okay, cool.
I'm walking here. So Alyssa,
Yeah.
the point of the reason you came on the show, and this will be our last little portion, so you got to do it quick. You have this wonderful documentary, and you're now into film festivals. So what are you hoping people will do when they see the little tidbit? They've seen how awesome this person is. What are you hoping they'll do?
Yeah, right now we're submitting to festivals, and I think the most important thing is with documentary, it's about the story and it's about the message and the person on camera or the subject on camera. And I cannot wait for people to meet Reggie in the way that we have, and she's so authentic and true, and I love her message and her own story. So right now we're submitting to festivals, and if you'd like to support this story and this whole production process that we've been through, please check out the link below to my co-producer's website. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Alyssa, most people say like, oh, this is a student film or this is a student production. I shouldn't be giving my money to this. It would be a waste of time. When they see that you're attached, I want people to rethink that, because you're not just a type A go-getter. You're a brilliant human being, and I honestly can't say enough nice things about you. So I'm just going to say this to everyone at home. Guys, this story, you got to support it. Alyssa and her team are great people. They're going to film festivals. They already made the movie. They just need help to see it. So, there's probably all sorts of great perks that you can go see that I can't tell you about. Wink, wink. But if you go and watch right now, you might be inspired to say, maybe this is something I should support. So don't be afraid to look at that link. And Alyssa, thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Of course.
Oh, we had so much fun.
You're literally a ball of sunshine. So we love to have sunshine.
Yeah, you were the perfect morning interview, even though
Yeah.
this interview comes out every Wednesday.
This isn't morning. What are you talking about?
This isn't morning.
I'm definitely getting coffee after this. So it's okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, you can have coffee any time of the
I
day.
left it. I left it in the car, like my iced coffee, and I'm like super regretting it.
I was really shocked when you didn't have a coffee when I walked in here.
Well, anyways, if you guys aren't drinking coffee, you should stop doing whatever you're doing,
Go get
even
some
if you're
coffee.
drinking. Go get some coffee and watch some locally produced film.
And no matter where you are, folks, if it's in Ithaca, if you are back in our hometown of Elizabeth, Colorado, stay creative, Colorado. Okay.
I was so ready for the John Green ending right there. What does he say?
What's the John Green
He
ending?
says, "Stay awesome." What do you
Don't forget to be
Don't
awesome.
forget to be awesome.